Got a little shameless plug coming up. There it is. This is episode 2, and this was by far one of the most difficult tasks I've ever put my hands to, animating a Flash with sprites. That right there is the R-Wing from Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, and that ship is actually a 3D model that was rendered and placed into Flash. I hand did all these monitors. Let's see. There's Gray, played by Mike J. And he's a good little actor. I actually had to get him to get him to ask his mother's permission to be in this. He's very young, so I actually had to have his mom send me an email. But he's really talented. You know, when he auditioned, I was like, "That's Gray. That's so Gray." We wanted Gray to kind of come across as this, naive young captain who still has a lot of skill and authority. And there he is, the general. You saw just enough of him to where you can kind of take a guess at who he is, but you're not sure for sure. That voice you are not hearing right now is Aderu Muro. She's the director of Aviation Waltz. I came across it while I was browsing YouTube. That's a render out of Star Fox 2, that enemy ship right there, and we had to put a black or purplish black coat over it. I guess a skin over it. When I found Sprout's sheets, I knew I had to put them in there. They were just too good, and I'm really surprised that they're not in more things. It's just an awesome sheet done by Crimson Penguin. Drew Ox, the Shredder, plays as Sprout, and when he auditioned for him, he was the first person to audition, and I just knew that he was Sprout. He was really, really good. That goofy meow meow, that guy, that's me. I lost one of my guys, and I had to fill in. Omadon, his Phantom. Omadon is probably one of the top 2 or 3 amateur voice actors on the internet. He is in just about everything, and rightfully so. He's really talented. I find it kind of funny that he's giving a speech to a bunch of robots. They really don't care what he said. I mean, they're just robots. They're not really thinking about anything, and he's giving them a pep talk before battle. These are all taken out of Star Fox. That background right there, that whoosh whoosh looking thing, is from Mugen or Mungen or however you say it. These are CGI models, again, rendered and placed into Flash. That background's actually pretty handcrafted. The actual space is taken from, oh man, I can't remember the name of the game, but the stars are hand placed by yours truly. A lot of Halo sound effects. I've had this scene in my mind since I was about 17 years old. I'm 24 now, so it's been about 8 years, and I've always wanted to do this scene where there's a shootout, like the opening scene in Star Wars Episode 4. You know, you got your good guys, the lowly resistance, and you got your superior numbers with superior firepower. There's chaos everywhere. There's blood and guts. Well, not really much blood, but there's no guts. But oh yeah, I found those sprites, and I was like, that's the grenade. That's the grenade that he's gonna throw, and that's foreshadowing for more. We're gonna see a little bit more of that. Little dramatic moment. Takes a look at a picture of his wife, and then Calavera does this war cry, and it's absolutely just the most manly yell I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, that was all rendered. All of that was handcrafted and placed in. That one money shot was it took probably like 2 or 3 days to put together. These sound effects are all from Halo 2 or 3. Let's see. Gray wasn't too happy about these lines, but I told him they were good. The music selection here was from Bleach. Whenever a hollow comes or whenever something freaky happens, this music plays, and I wanted everybody to get kind of terrified when they saw Phantom walking in. And now we know how fast he is because he, in 3 frames, sliced Gray's weapon and went exactly back to the spot that he was in. So now we know how fast Phantom is. We saw a little bit of that earlier. It's kind of funny. We've got a 250, 300-pound muscular giant alpha male warrior man beating up a 13-year-old kid, and there's a little bit of humor in that to me. Let's see. Obviously, the famous lightsaber sound effect had to be put in somewhere. This scene was kind of tricky. I hand-did the background there, and there were some latency issues in the the frame rate kind of got bumpy, and it was kind of tricky to work in the sound. But I think it worked out okay. That was hand painted by me, or it was a recolor. That actually got a laugh when I pre-screened it. I mean, you can't really hear it. There's no sound, but that part where there's that loud guitar riff, that got a laugh when I showed it to my classmates. Johnny, played by Antfish. Johnny is one of the more friendly of the bad guys, and I kind of wanted, kind of like Bleach. Whenever you watch Bleach, there's a couple bad guys who are kind of nicer. And they're still bad guys, but they're kind of relief from the stereotypical, everything's evil all the time. In this conversation, I wanted to get across a couple things. Number one, I wanted to get across where the story is going. He's setting up for where the story is going to go, and also I wanted to kind of establish a relationship for Sprout. Sprout kind of has this, puts off a vibe like he's completely a loner, and he just completely is enemies with everybody he talks to. And Sprout kind of has a rapport with Johnny a little bit. He's a jerk by nature, but he kind of calms down a little bit whenever Johnny's around. Johnny's kind of his buddy who takes the burden off. All of this was taken from an old Star Trek game and hand gifted. That actually right there is a sphere in a CGI program with the world map from Chrono Trigger 1000 AD wrapped around it and then hand animated frame by frame. Took a day to do that. Now we're seeing some creatures. Oh, there he is. That's foreshadowing of who the next character we're going to introduce is in the story. Too bad we can't get a good image. I guess the recon that they did for the Empire was not the best, but whatever. I love this. I came across this, and it fit right into what I was doing. I wanted to show a model of the pendant. I found that right there on Game Sprite Archive, and I said that's going in there, so I put a glow over it, and I think it turned out pretty nice. It makes it look like there's not just sprites and 2D images, but maybe some CGI effects. And Phantom's about to do his little whoosh, where he just disappears up into the ceiling. He's gonna. The lip sync was kind of tricky sometimes. Phantom's was pretty easy, but Sprout's is just ridiculously hard. I play as the cowardly captain. He's just shivering because he's scared of Sprout. Dark Zero Productions is the username of the guy who introduced me to the Mugen sprites, and those were cleverly incorporated into this episode. This right here is just a moment where we're kind of seeing where the story's going to go. We're going to transition into the next character. If you can't figure out who it is, then, well, deal with it. And the Lost, boom. So